This is History's Hidden Weird. I'm Quinn Strange. And today, we're going to blow your mind, and almost the moon. In the middle of the Cold War, the United States was gripped by fear of communism, fear of nuclear annihilation, and, apparently, fear of losing bragging rights in space. Because at the height of this paranoia, a group of American scientists, with full military backing, proposed something so strange, so surreal, it sounds like a joke from a bad sci-fi film. They wanted to nuke the moon. That's not a metaphor. That's not a movie pitch. That's a real plan, codenamed Project A119. And at the center of it, a 26-year-old astrophysicist named Carl Sagan, long before he was famous for talking about billions and billions of stars. What was the point of nuking the moon? Could they have actually done it? And why, in the name of all that is lunar, did anyone think this was a good idea? Let's set the scene. It's 1957. The Cold War is in full swing. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a high-stakes technological arms race. But that year, something happened that changed the game completely. The Soviets launched Sputnik, the first man-made satellite to orbit Earth. It was tiny. About the size of a beach ball. It beeped. It blinked. And it caused absolute panic in the United States. Americans weren't just afraid of satellites, they were afraid of what came next. If the Soviets could launch something into space, maybe they could launch bombs. From orbit. The U.S. needed to respond. Fast. But they didn't just want to catch up. They wanted to send a message, loud, bright, and unmistakable. And so, someone proposed this idea. What if we nuked the moon? In 1958, a secret Air Force initiative began under the codename Project A119, also known as a study of lunar research flights. It was developed by the Air Force in collaboration with the Illinois Institute of Technology and a group of scientists at the Armor Research Foundation. Now, here's the key thing, they weren't doing this for science. They were doing it for optics. The idea was to launch a nuclear missile toward the moon, time it to explode just above the surface, and create a huge, visible flash that people could see from Earth. The flash would signal American superiority in the space race. Think of it as the Cold War version of writing your name on the moon, but with radioactive fire. And yes, one of the scientists brought in to do the math was none other than Carl Sagan, who, at the time, was a young graduate student at the University of Chicago. Sagan was tasked with calculating how the dust and light would behave after detonation, so the explosion would be visible from Earth. Imagine your first big research job being, "Hey Carl, how bright would a nuclear explosion look if we set it off in space, on the moon?" Now, you might be asking, why not just do a science experiment? Launch a satellite. Build a telescope. Land something on the moon. Well, it's important to understand that symbolism was everything during the Cold War. This wasn't about exploration, it was about demonstration. Showing off power. Dominance. Technological superiority. Sending a message to the Soviets, look what we can do. And the moon, forever visible in the night sky, was the perfect billboard. They even debated where on the moon to aim for maximum visual impact. The dark side wouldn't work, no one could see it. They needed it to explode on the visible side, preferably during a clear phase when it would be most noticeable. It was all about the theater of it. And if it scorched part of the moon's surface in the process? Oh well. But there were problems. First, how do you launch a nuke to the moon in 1958? The U.S. didn't yet have a launch vehicle powerful enough to send a heavy payload, like a nuclear warhead, all the way to the lunar surface. Second, how do you control it? This was pre-Apollo, pre-sophisticated guidance systems. There was a significant chance the bomb would miss its target entirely, or worse, malfunction and come back toward Earth. Third, PR. Yes, this was the military, but even they realized that if the American public found out the government was trying to detonate atomic bombs on celestial bodies, there might be some pushback. And finally, the scientific community quietly rebelled. People like Sagan and others weren't comfortable with the idea of making the moon a nuclear test site. The moon, after all, is geologically stable. Bombing it could release data, yes, but also potentially cause damage we didn't fully understand. It was the moon, for crying out loud. Blowing it up, even a small part, might just be a cosmic level oops. By 1959, Project A119 was quietly shelved. Officially, the reason given was the potential backlash from public opinion. The space race was shifting from intimidation to inspiration. NASA had been founded. The moon was now a goal, not a target. And besides, the US was already planning to do one better than the Soviets, not just reach space, but put a human on the moon. The plan to nuke it? Buried in a stack of classified files. In fact, Project A119 remained completely secret for decades, until the late 1990s, when a biographer researching Carl Sagan's early work uncovered documents referencing the program. That's right. The only reason we know about this plan to nuke the moon is because Carl Sagan may have accidentally leaked it on his resume. So, what's the legacy of Project A119? On one hand, it's a bizarre relic of Cold War paranoia. A literal moonshot, powered by ego and fear. But it's also a glimpse into how far governments are willing to go to prove a point, even if that point involves launching a weapon of mass destruction at a lifeless rock 240,000 miles away. It's easy to laugh now. But Project A119 reminds us of the thin line between scientific wonder and strategic absurdity. And hey, if you ever needed a reason to be grateful for bureaucratic red tape, this is it. Paperwork probably saved the moon. Imagine explaining this to an alien. Why yes, we were planning to detonate a nuclear weapon on our planet's only natural satellite. No, not for science. Just to show off. That's Cold War logic for you. Project A119 may have faded into obscurity, but it's a reminder that history is full of plans we were this close to making real, for reasons that don't always make sense in the light of day. This has been History's Hidden Weird. I'm Quinn Strange. Thanks for listening. Stay curious. Stay kind. Stay wonderfully weird.